So this idea of energy Swaraj, like Gandhiji's Gram Swaraj, I believe is a very, very powerful idea and should be adopted not at one place but everywhere in the world, irrespective of whether it is a developing country or developed country, irrespective of the place whether there is electricity connection or no electricity connection. Everyone has to adopt this idea. So let us begin this movement of energy Swaraj, and I'm calling it movement because until unless everyone joins it, it will be difficult for us to get a reversal of a climate change.
Hello and welcome to the Mission Shunya podcast. I'm your host Girish Shivakumar. Well, the podcast platform has now well over 10 episodes, and it feels really good when someone writes back to you and say that they have probably picked up an idea and implemented that. Like for example, a listener said that they got a bulb replaced and they switched to LEDs. And another listener who said he's bought an electric car. And recently, after the last episode, there are a couple of people who tweeted to say that they use the e-waste platform that I mentioned in the previous episode to dispose the electronic waste. So it feels really good when people come back and tell that the podcast platform has been really useful. Remember, the podcast is just a platform where I talk about these ideas, but the general intent and the theme is Mission Shunya, or towards a zero carbon economy. So anything and everything that's related to it will be discussed, we'll share ideas, and we'll get more people involved. So go ahead, spread the word, and let other people know. So now on to this week's podcast episode. The guest for this week is Dr. Chetan Singh Solanki. Dr. Solanki is a professor at IIT Bombay. He's well renowned in the circles and he's popularly called as a solar man, the solar man from India. He has undertaken a lot of initiatives in this space over the last couple of decades or more. And on this episode, the reason I got him on the podcast is to talk about his Gandhi Global Solar Yatra. So without further ado, here is the interview that I had with Professor Solanki. Hello, Dr. Solanki. Welcome to the Mission Shunya podcast. To begin, can you give us a brief background? I'm sure a lot of listeners in India would probably easily recognize your name. But for the global audience, can you give us a brief background?
So I'm a faculty at Department of Energy Science and Engineering. This is in IIT Bombay, and I'm working as a professor, but also leading two major projects. One is called National Center for Photovoltaic Research and Education, where we are doing a very high-end research in cells, materials, modules, degradation, power electronics. So basically covering entire spectrum of research that is happening in solar cell technology. On the other side of spectrum, I am also leading a project called Solar Urja. Urja means energy. So solar energy through localization for sustainability, which is again whole idea is how to involve local communities to find their own energy solution so that we can really think of sustainable life on the planet. So this is the work that I'm doing right now.
The SOLS program is especially a well-known program in India in the last few years. It has gained prominence and it has been launched nationally. How did you conceptualize with that idea in the first place?
Well, I mean the it goes back. I mean I was part of some solar lamp programs almost 10 years ago, even 11, 12 years when I started, and in a way I felt that they have failed miserably in the sense that. Uh, there is always a funfair, whenever you provide solar lamp for someone. But soon you realize that the lamps are not working. Even if you come to know that they are not working, there is no way you can provide their services and all. So that is the time also when India was spending a lot of money in subsidizing the kerosene supply. So I thought, with the advancement of solar cell technology, there is no reason why we shouldn't replace every kerosene lamp with a solar lamp. And why it is not being done, I could figure out that it is because the lamps are not affordable. It is because the lamps are not repairable, and it is because the lamps are not available whenever required. So this problem of affordability, repairability, and availability, I believe, is a major problem not only with the solar lamp but any other solar product that we are going to implement. And therefore, involvement of local community is very important. And that is how the whole idea came, that solar technology in general is not a rocket science. Whether it is a solar lamp or solar street light or water pump, with a little training you can actually empower local communities to take care of all their operations. And therefore, I started doing experiment with that idea of involvement of local community, and slowly it grew and grew, and it now we have reached already to 6.3 million household through the program.
That is really phenomenal. I mean, the experiment that you started has probably gained a larger audience. Especially, I would like to highlight to the listeners who are hearing this for the first time that most of the people that you have empowered are women.
Right.
Can you brief us about that? How did this happen?
So when we started working, we were looking for the local partners because as a professor at IIT Bombay, we do not have that much local connect. So in order to implement such program, we always need somebody at local level. And soon we figured out that this institutional building that is required to involve this local community has already been happening through the government of India programs called National Rural Livelihood Mission, and every state has its own state rural livelihood mission. Now, those mission for the right reason is mainly with the women involvement, and we found immediately that the women are quite sincere. Once we empower a women, we are empowering the entire house and the next generation. So from all our experiences, we could see that it has really worked very well, and we were like lucky enough to utilize already the well set up infrastructure by this livelihood mission. So in a way, that was easy for us, but that was also very relevant and very empowering for the community as a whole.
Over the journey that you have undertaken in this space for like over 2 decades, if I'm right, you have initiated a lot of programs. The major program that you're currently undertaking is the Gandhi Global Solar Yatra. So, how did this idea come about?
Well, I mean, so it has interesting beginning. So we have been working with the women community, and I had one thought in mind. Why don't we train the student themselves to make their own solar lamp? I mean, women can definitely be involved in other products, home lighting systems and street lights and water pumps and everything else. But what about involving student to make their own solar lamp? And last year, when we did an event on the Gandhi Jayanti, 2nd October, it was 149th birth anniversary. I started the whole idea to train 5,000 students, but we ended up training 132,000 students on a single day on the Mahatma Gandhi Jayanti. And it was very successful event. The Prime Minister also witnessed it. Around the same time, there was a report from the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, talking about global warming of 1.5 degrees centigrade and how what are the efforts should be taken to stop the global warming at that level. When I went through the report, it was quite a serious thing, and because stopping at 1.5 requires tremendous efforts, including the whole world becoming net carbon zero by 2050, which means the whole world mostly should not use any form of carbon. So we should stop using coal, oil, gas, LPG, CNG. So that was another dimension, and I could see that nobody is capable of or even thinking so seriously about this. So the whole idea of Gandhi Global Solar Yatra was that uh, after the successful event of the 2nd October, after the Souls project success, after the IPCC report that came in picture, also India had this headquarter of International Solar Alliance. So when I thought that this many things, that how do we involve young minds all over the world in this particular operation of learning to make their own solar lamp? Why should we do that? Because I keep saying that I am at age 45 right now, and anybody who is in 40s and 50s will go away from the planet another 40, 50 years, but the child is going to stay back, and therefore his and her life is going to affected more due to the climate change than you and my life, and therefore they should be important stakeholder of the energy future on the planet. Also, like today, every child can play with the mobile phone. We need to create a kind of system or scenario in which every child should be able to play with the solar energy if you want really solar energy to be part of life. And that's why and the Gandhian principle of non-violence, Gandhian principle of not the mass production but production by masses. Gandhi also told that the world has enough to satisfy everyone's need but not the greed. So his ideals are also global in the sense, and therefore I thought on this very special occasion of 150th birth anniversary, this event should take place at a global level, and we should bring millions and millions of students on board. Now the next question was how to bring that to people around the world, and that again I got this idea from what Gandhiji used to do. Whenever such a cause was there, Gandhiji always used to take yatras and walking, and the most famous of that is a Dandi Yatra, Dandi March. So that is why I thought that I should actually go around the world, and that is why we named it Gandhi Global Solar Yatra. Incorporating principles of Mahatma Gandhi, it is promoting solar energy, and it is for whole world.
Well, those are really valuable points. I can actually pick a lot of points in that. The first thing is like net zero carbon emissions is a big theme. That is particularly the theme of this podcast as well. And the intent of encouraging the child to probably build something on their own and know the significance of solar is a wonderful initiative that you undertaken. Now, going by the Solar Yatra, and I followed your Solar Yatra for the last few months, and I know you have visited a lot of countries in this period. So, what has your experience been visiting these countries, and what is your reaction when you meet young minds in the other countries? How do you go about spreading the word there?
Well, I mean, so it has been amazing yatra. I mean, it's anybody I think who travels really get to learn many things, and same thing was for me also. One thing was very common that everywhere in the world, the young minds are always more open, more enthusiastic, and they are willing to adopt solar more than anybody else. So that is absolutely clear. And also, it is their future that's going to be affected, right? And then the other reception, depending on the which part of the country you are, somewhere very overwhelming response you will get. People will connect with you like anything. People would really love to join. So most of the places response was really amazing. Some places you will always find that people have their own doubts and their own preconceived idea why such things are happening. But overall, I think the response is overwhelming. Right now, as I'm talking, we have about 101 country who have registered to take part on the 2nd October event taking place globally everywhere.
That is phenomenal. So, what is your target in terms of the number of countries that you intend to get on board?
Well, when I started, the target was 50 countries because with the limited time that I had, I imagined that I will not be able to travel many countries, but still I managed about 32 countries. And the target was that we'll reach to 50 countries. So we are well within, I mean, much more. We are almost double the number that we started. Of course, if every country joins, nothing like it. But 150th birth anniversary is the day is fixed, and we do not have a lot of time and a lot of resources to reach out everywhere. Maybe with your podcast, we will be able to reach to more people, and I would really invite everyone else to join this event on the 2nd October, which is just a beginning of much bigger thing. Girish, one thing is very clear that if you look at what is happening in the world right now and what is anticipated from the climate change, and I've been asking this one single question everywhere in the planet, that have you in your lifetime felt a change in the climate, that something has changed around you? Believe me, the answer is yes. Everywhere you go to Africa, America, Latin America, Middle East, Asia, wherever you go, everybody feels that the change has happened. Which means that we do not even need scientific data to show that there's a climate change. Our daily experiences of events that is taking place in the world are scary enough to for us to really act very quickly, very swiftly, in a much major scale, much bigger scale. The temperatures in Europe, in the Paris, is crossing 45 degrees centigrade. It's unbelievable, isn't it? And unthinkable. I
Correct.
lived in Europe for 5 years. I couldn't have imagined Europe will ever go to 45 degrees centigrade. So things are really turning to the worse. And the problem is that the rate at which they are turning worse is amazing. And I'm scared that there might be time when we will all decide to actually work for it and save the climate change, but we will not have enough time to do that.
Well, rightly said. That's really perfectly put. In terms of the Gandhian values, I mean, Gandhiji, of course, as you rightly said, wanted to have fulfill everyone's needs rather than the greeds. You've also been promoting the concept of Energy Swaraj. How's the response to this globally?
That so basically, again, we need to understand the when the Gandhiji said there is Earth can provide and satisfy everyone's need, but not anyone's greed. Actually, that was the formula of living, in my view, and I feel that that is the greatest formula ever given by the Gandhiji for the sustainability, which was actually formulated in the form of what is called village Swaraj, or village self governance, or self sufficiency, or self reliance. So, the whole idea that we can only be sustainable only if we are locally sustainable, which means that if I can fulfill my needs locally, like my food, my clothes, everything else, then I'm sustainable. And in fact, Gandhiji even went on saying that if my villages are self sufficient, then I do not need districts, I do not need states, I do not need countries. On the other hand, what we have been doing right now are actually terrible. The kind of resources, there is a concept called Earth Overshoot Day. So, Earth Overshoot Day measures whatever resources Earth can regenerate in 1 year and how much resources we are consuming in 1 year. So, ideally, we should consume those resources regenerated in 1 year in 1 year. So, ideally, the Earth Overshoot Day should come on December 31st. You will be surprised to know that this year, the Earth Overshoot Day came on 29th July
Wow.
last month, which means that all the resources generated in 1 year we have consumed in 209 days. So the rest of the 155, 56 days, we are going to over exploit the resources. We are going to basically steal the resources from the future generation. And I've been giving this example everywhere that all of us are living a stolen life. We are thieves in a manner that we actually overuse water, overuse air, overuse the forest, overuse the soil, everything we are doing. Now this is not sustainable, not at all. I mean, Gandhiji felt this 100 years ago, and I feel that we have completely not understood it and really gone in the wrong direction. So when I say energy Swaraj, basically energy is a major driver of a social and economic growth of any country, right? So each one of us, every country is trying to grab more energy, generate more energy, consume more energy. But because of this energy consumption, and because this energy comes 80% from the coal, oil, and gas, there is a major climate change. So these are the opposite trends. We want to consume more energy, but every energy consumption results in a climate change. So how do you solve this contradictory problem? And again, what Gandhiji said, and I have kind of just expanded it, the village Swaraj, I'm calling it energy Swaraj. If I can be self-sufficient in generating my own energy, my house, my village, my society, my towns, my states, my districts, my country, or every country, then we can solve many problems with one this concept of energy Swaraj, that is just be locally self sufficient. We will create employment for people, we will create skills for people, we will create technology assets in a local area, we will empower women, we will empower children, we will make people independent of energy, we will make countries independent of energy, and above all, we will mitigate the climate change. So this idea of energy Swaraj, like Gandhiji's Gram Swaraj, I believe is a very powerful idea and should be adopted not at one place but everywhere in the world, irrespective of whether it is a developing country or developed country, irrespective of the place whether there is electricity connection or no electricity connection. Everyone has to adopt this idea. I believe very strongly, and after looking the world, I think I will be one of the few lucky ones in the world, literally, who have seen the entire world in one go. and therefore I can see what how things are wrong almost every places, how things are unequal, how society is becoming more and more unequal. But the concept of village Swaraj and energy Swaraj are the one which are equalizer for the community and society.
Those are really powerful statements. If you would like to give one message or one key message or one action item that you would encourage every listener to this podcast to take on Gandhi Jayanti, what would that be?
Well, I would request everyone on the 2nd October Gandhi Jayanti to take part in this global event that is taking place. We call it Student Solar Ambassador. The whole idea that every student, and why student only, every one of us should be ambassador of solar energy. I keep joking everywhere that I do not want Amitabh Bachchan to be ambassador of solar energy. I do not want Deepika Padukone to be the ambassador of solar energy, but I want each student everywhere in the world to be the ambassador of solar energy. Now, to become ambassador, you should not just do the lip service. You cannot just talk about it, but you have to live with it. So what we are doing on the 2nd October is we are going to train millions of students to make their own solar lamp. And not only making their solar lamp, but once a student makes a lamp, we expect them to use this lamp in study for their study. We are expecting colleges, we are expecting companies, we are expecting NGOs, we are expecting every organization to organize this event in their premises and conduct this training for millions and millions of students. Now it is very simple to join. People have to go to the website called www.ggsy.in. That stands for Gandhi Global Solar Yatra. So go to www.ggsy.in. There you will find register as a workshop associate, and then the website will guide you in order to conduct this training to your own location. It can be even housing society, it can be even jail, it can be even hospital, it can be anything. So to conduct, what you need is somebody to become a local trainer. For that local trainer, there is online training on our website, and you need a hardware to actually give training to the people in making their own solar lamp. And the hardware, where to source the hardware, is also there on the website. So website is a complete in itself. You just log into www.ggsy.in and participate in the whole workshop. I believe that bigger the event on the 2nd October, the better the launch of Energy Swaraj, and the entire world need Energy Swaraj. We want to demystify the solar technology as much as the mobile phones are, right? Solar technology should not be a special thing to do, it should be part of life. It should, and we are already living a solar life. To my surprise, when I asked this question, how many of you use solar energy, many people do not raise hand, many people. And then I have to remind them, are you not eating food, are you not breathing air, are you not drinking water? Each one of these is actually a manifestation of solar energy. So we are a big user of solar energy. We need to do little more and generate our own energy for lights and fans and TVs and whatever you want. So let us begin this movement of Energy Swaraj, and I'm calling it movement because until unless everyone joins it, it will be difficult for us to get a reversal of a climate change. And before it becomes too late, if you want a sustainable future for our children and grandchildren, if you want to give them a comfortable life on the planet, let us all be part of this movement. Let us individual take a pride in using solar energy and adopting to solar energy. 2nd October, once again, is the best opportunity. It is the best tribute to Mahatma Gandhi. It is the best way to incorporate non-violence toward the environment. And therefore, I request everyone else, like mobile phone is in hands of everyone else, I want solar technology in the hands of everyone else. What could be the better day than to start this non-violence of environment movement, the Energy Swaraj movement, then 2nd October? Please do join.
That's perfect, Professor Solanki. I'm sure. I hope I will definitely promote the link that you mentioned in across various platforms, and I'm sure a lot of people who listen to this will definitely sign up for the event and make this event a bigger success. Last year's event was a Guinness World Record, so I'm sure this year's participation would probably exceed the numbers by a big factor.
Yes, this year's numbers, the World Record will be small to capture it.
I hope so. And this is definitely a worthwhile cause to do that. So thank you very much for taking time to join us on this podcast. amidst your schedule, you have been kind enough to join us. So thank you very much for sharing your views. And we will definitely sign up and we will keep track of the Gandhi Global Solar Yatra.
Thank you, Girish. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me and discussing it. It is always pleasure to talk about all these ideas, because it is not one person or 100 people or 100 societies, but everyone in the world has to sync with what is happening and take appropriate action. So thanks a lot for inviting me, and I hope the message will reach to millions.
Well, as I rightly mentioned, Professor Solanki is a expert in this space, and his initiatives are really laudable. And the Gandhi Global Solar Yatra is a phenomenal movement that he's undertaking. I'm sure you have probably benefited with all the facts and all the messages that he has conveyed in this podcast. So I will leave it at that. And now let's look at this week's action item towards Mission Shunya. The first thing that you can do and you should be doing is sign up for the Gandhi Global Solar Yatra. You can do that by logging on to the website ggsy.in, and you can sign up or register your school, register your corporate office, or register your association, and make sure that you're participating in the event. You need not be a student, but you can also encourage other students and other schools in your community to be part of it. So make sure you do that. The other key thing that I want to mention is, when I release the podcast, it will be close to the Indian Independence Day, and Professor Solanki will be completing his Gandhi Global Solar Yatra. He will be at the Sabarmati Ashram in Ahmedabad, India, and that is the place where Gandhiji spent most of his time. So on that day, he is also going to launch the Energy Swaraj Foundation. So stay tuned to that. I will share the links to that when that happens. So make sure you even follow that. So that's Energy Swaraj Foundation and Gandhi Global Solar Yatra. The links to these will definitely be on the show notes section of the podcast, so please check that as well. And finally, if you have liked the episodes that I've released, make sure you give this podcast a rating and write a review. And make sure you also subscribe to the podcast so that you get the next episode directly in your feed. And you can also follow Mission Shunya on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and you can also write me an email, missionshunya@gmail.com. So until next time, this is Mission Shunya, towards a zero carbon economy.